two winter storms are likely in the United States over the next week, and one of which will be happening in the Ohio Valley in the Northeast, bringing some snowfall, while the other one could occur down near the Gulf Coast and even in areas like Texas, where we could see some snowfall and maybe even some ice accumulation. In addition to that, a huge Arctic blast is coming to the United States this weekend, which will bring the coldest weather that we've seen in a long time to much of the United States. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next several days, and we'll begin with what's happening across the country this morning. And overall, things are relatively quiet for most of the country. We do have some light snow that is moving through the Midwest, and that'll be moving into the Ohio Valley throughout the day today and as well as into tonight, but overall not really any significant accumulation is expected out of that. And then over here, back over in the Pacific Ocean, we have a streaming area of moisture that is moving towards areas like Texas, but overall this is only going to increase cloud cover. There will be some showers and even maybe a few thunderstorms over in parts of Florida throughout the day today before things will start to dry out a bit more as we go into Friday. Now, the weather is going to be changing a ton over the next 5 days, as we are expecting a huge shot of cold air to impact much of the United States, which could even set some records in some areas, in addition to the potential for a couple of different winter weather events. So let's begin with what the general weather pattern will be here over the next couple of weeks, and we'll begin with the jet stream. Right now, our polar jet stream is lifted far off to the north. We do have a little dip here back over in the Midwest, a little bit of cold air sitting back over in the Northeast, and then also our subtropical jet stream is all the way back down near the Gulf Coast, and a little low pressure system is spinning there right off the coast of California. Now, as we go into this weekend, things are going to become a lot different. So that little system that's back over here in California will actually move into the Central Plains as we go into Friday, and this will spark the potential for some showers and thunderstorms in the deep south and also some snowfall in the Ohio Valley in the Northeast. On the flip side of things, we are going to see a dip in the jet stream start to develop here with our polar jet stream back up near Canada, and once we go into Saturday, this is just going to unleash tons of cold air across the United States with a very strong northerly flow, which is going to promote lots of cold air coming out of Canada, and this will be by far the coldest weather that we've seen all season long for a large chunk of the United States, especially east of the Rocky Mountains. As we go into Sunday into Monday, we just have this huge area of low pressure in the upper atmosphere spinning back up in Canada, which is going to continue to allow for lots of cold air to come out of Canada. And just think of this as if there's traffic building up on a highway. That's basically what we're going to be seeing here across the Great Plains, where this northerly flow will just be piling up cold air over time, which is going to make Monday and Tuesday more than likely the coldest days of the entire week next week. And then eventually by the middle and end of the week, that northerly wind will start to move more to the east towards the East Coast, so most of the cold air will migrate that direction, and then overall the flow here in the jet stream becomes a bit more zonal, which should allow for things to warm back up a little bit. But we are likely to see more shots of cold air before January is over. The GFS model is hinting at another big shot of cold air by next weekend, which again would just pile on to what we are already going to be seeing here over the next week. This will probably go down as one of the coldest Januaries that we've seen in over 10 years for much of the United States. Now, you might be wondering, where is the winter storm potential? Well, we're going to talk more about this here in just a moment, but our first winter storm shot will come in as we go into Saturday and as well as into Sunday of this weekend. That'll be mostly in areas like the Northeast, and then we have a potential for another winter weather event as we go into the early to middle portion of next week, as the jet stream is really ripping here down near the Gulf Coast. Any sort of storm system that forms down here will be favorable for some snow and maybe even some ice due to the position of this with all the cold air that is going to be sinking down to the areas like the Southern Plains and as well as the Gulf Coast. For many of you across the United States, you'll be dealing with some of the coldest weather that we've seen in years, and one of the biggest reasons why is because we are going to be seeing a huge Arctic blast as we go into late Saturday and into Sunday. That pocket of cold air will be mostly in the northern plains in the Midwest as we go into early Sunday. Keep in mind though, a cold front will be stretching all the way towards the Gulf Coast, so our initial area of cold air is going to be all the way over towards the East Coast and into Texas as we go into early Sunday. But notice back up in the northern plains, that is where basically the jackpot of all that cold air is going to reside as we go into Sunday morning. But it's going to get even worse as we go into Monday and Tuesday, as that cold air will just be building across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, with the potential for some areas seeing some record-breaking temperatures. So that is definitely a concern across parts of the United States. And then eventually as we go into Tuesday and into Wednesday, that cold air is going to be moving towards the East Coast before many areas are returning back closer to average by the middle and end of next week. And then we'll likely get another shot of cold air by next weekend, and then warm weather will likely return after that. But this looks like it'll be the most impactful Arctic blast that we've seen all season long here across the country. And these are some of the temperatures that we are expecting as we go into this weekend and next week. As we go into Sunday morning, many areas sub-zero in the northern plains in the Midwest. It gets even colder as we go into Monday, with some areas as low as 25 degrees below zero. And Tuesday morning will also be quite chilly, especially back over into the Midwest and the Northeast, and even freezing temperatures down towards the Gulf Coast, which is why we think there is a chance that we see some snow or ice back over in areas like Texas, all the way back through Georgia and South Carolina. And then eventually by Wednesday into Thursday, that cold air will start to shift further to the east. And also the wind chills are kind of crazy with this. As we go into Sunday and as well as Monday morning, the wind chills could be as low as 50 degrees below zero in areas like North Dakota. So we are talking about very cold weather that is coming as we go into next week. Now let's talk more about the potential winter storms that we'll be seeing this weekend and as well as next week. And instead of looking at one model, I'm going to use a group of models, which is called an ensemble group, which gives us a better idea of where we could be talking about the potential for snow and maybe even ice accumulation. So beginning with what's happening as we go into Saturday and into Sunday, we are expecting some snow back up into the Ohio Valley in the Northeast. This will overall be light to moderate, maybe a few bands of heavy snow, and it'll be a very quick moving system. So significant accumulation is not really expected for most areas as we go into Friday and Saturday. It'll start to fizzle out as we go into Sunday. There might be some lingering snowfall up there, but what's a little bit more interesting is what happens as we go into late Monday and into Tuesday. Confidence is growing that we are going to see some level of wintry precipitation in the southern plains, perhaps even into the deep south and also into the southeast as we go into the early to mid portion of next week. Now, what does that exactly mean? Well, we are pretty certain that we are going to be dealing with very cold air, which would allow for some level of snow, freezing rain, or sleet. But here are where the questions remain. How intense would this winter system be? Will there be enough moisture to fuel there being maybe a winter storm down here, or will it just be very light snow? Will it be very light sleet? Will it be very light freezing rain? And will it be widespread or will it be isolated? All of those questions we don't exactly know, but in a minute or two I'm going to talk more about what I think will be happening here as we go into early to mid next week. Eventually, as we go into early Tuesday, the GEFS ensemble members continue to show a trend where there will be a potential for some snow, freezing rain, and maybe even some sleet along the Gulf Coast of the United States, including areas as far south as Florida. And again, it's going to be cold enough to support something like this even into Florida if there is enough moisture. But on the other hand, the Canadian ensembles are showing something a lot more aggressive, where it is indicating snow in the Northeast as we go into Saturday and as well as into Sunday. Even shows another shot of snowfall as we go into late Sunday in areas like New England, almost a nor'easter there, but it won't be a nor'easter. And then eventually as we go into Monday into Tuesday, it shows a large-scale snow, ice, and sleet event happening in areas like the southern plains and the deep south. And this is showing, again, a more significant and a more aggressive scenario. So this is, I think, on the higher end of what we would end up seeing out of anything that happens down here in the deep south as we go into early next week. It also shows this extending back over into the southeast, including freezing rain even into parts of Florida. That would be mostly confined, though, to the Florida Panhandle, and then snow back over in the Carolinas. But again, this right here is very uncertain. We don't exactly know what's going to happen, but it does give you an idea of the range of scenarios that exist as we go into early next week with a potential winter storm. Again, this could definitely happen. We also could see something that is a lot less significant. What I think will happen is that we are going to see something like this, but it will not be as widespread, and I also think it's going to be a lot more confined to certain areas, and I do think that we are talking about a much more light precipitation event. So I think overall, we are not going to see a repeat of what we just saw a little over a week ago with that big winter storm. I think accumulations will be a lot less, but this would still likely cause some problems in areas like the southern plains and the southeast. Now, with all that said, we still don't know what's going to happen. That's just my opinion and my thinking on this. Again, make sure to subscribe to the channel, as we will keep you posted with the latest as this winter storm is a potential development as we go into early to mid next week. Now, this is the chance of seeing greater than 1 inch of snowfall over the next couple of weeks, and the probabilities continue to increase, especially back down in the lower Mississippi Valley and also into Texas, where probabilities now are as high as 60 to even 70% in a couple of areas. Obviously, the probabilities are going to be the highest back up into Canada, the Rocky Mountains, and also back into the Northeast. But again, areas like the Gulf Coast and even down into the Southeast definitely need to be aware of this. There is definitely an increasing chance of snowfall as we go into the early to mid portion of next week. Exactly where that happens and how much snow we see and how much ice we see, if we even see any, is all currently uncertain. So subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon down below so you're notified with the latest updates, as we will keep you posted on this situation, as it could be a big deal if we actually do see a winter storm down here. Now, in terms of total snowfall accumulation in the Northeast and the Ohio Valley as we go into this weekend, we are expecting some snow, but this isn't going to be anything super significant. Most areas will range from 1 to 5 inches. Higher elevations of the Appalachian Mountains in New England will see more significant snowfall accumulation. I wouldn't be surprised if a few areas overperform back over in like northwest Pennsylvania or Ohio, for example, because I do think think this snow will be heavier, and it also could stack up a bit faster, even though it's going to be a very fast-moving system. So overall, few areas might get closer to a half a foot of snow, but we are expecting a widespread 1 to 5 inches of snowfall. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching today's forecast. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below and click the bell icon so you're notified with the latest updates. And as a reminder, our 750,000 subscriber merch is still available for 3 more days at shopmaxvelocity.net. That is the top link in the description below. We have t-shirts, hats, and as well as stickers. And we are also approaching 1 million subscribers. We are now 136,000 away. So again, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below.